Xayim Alטהויז from Nikolaev was a chassid of the Rebbe Rashab, the Fidiker Rebbe. Was one of the most mekoravim to the Fidiker Rebbe. When our Rebbe once described him, he wrote, Yedid Beis Rebbe, HaChasid HaYedua. So those are the titles that the Rebbe wrote about him. His daughter, Batsheva Alטהויז, related. In the year of Tafresh Pei, my father lived in a small Jewish village, Dubranka. From time to time, the chassid Rabbi de Masmid would come visit my father. My father would come out to greet him and he would honor him tremendously. A month after the histalkos of the Rebbe Rashab, my father already knew about the histalkos, but Rabbi didn't yet find out. One day came to our house a horse and buggy, and Rabbi came down from this wagon. And he turned towards the house. So we ran to tell our Tati that Rabbi came. Our father stood by the top of the staircase of the house. And Rabbi the Masmid was on the bottom of the staircase. Rabbi, while he was still standing on the bottom of the staircase, asked my father, "Is richtig zinit? It's true or not?" And he meant to ask about the stalkos of the Rebbe Rashab. My father didn't answer. He just let out a deep sigh. Then Rabbi asked again, "Is it true or not?" My father didn't answer him, but his body bent a little bit towards the stairs. And then when Rabbi repeated his question a third time, my father fell down the stairs, he hit his head, and he fainted. Rabbi Chaim once related, once I asked the Fidiker Rebbe, "Why don't you rest a little bit during the day? Your father, the Rebbe Rashab, used to rest a little bit during the day." So the Fidiker Rebbe answered me, where did my father hold when he was in that age? And the Fidiker Rebbe added that for my head to rest, I chazer every day 10 kapitolach of Tanakh. Another thing that his daughter Batsheva related, my father was almost the main shadchan for the wedding of our Rebbe and Rebbe Tinchaya Mushka. I remember Rebbe Tinchana coming that month many times to our house. That time we lived in a suburb behind Leningrad, which Leningrad was the Fidiker Rebbe living at that time. And when Rebbe Tinchana will travel back to the Fidiker Rebbe to Leningrad, me and my sister would accompany her until the train station. The Chassan, meaning the Rebbe, would call our home and make up with his mother when and where they will meet. And then he would wait for his mother at the train station. And from there, they would travel together to the Fidiker Rebbe in Leningrad, which was about an hour away. Another thing, Batsheva Alטהויז related. When Fidiker Rebbe had to escape Rostov to Leningrad, so my father traveled, and he brought with him the Fidiker Rebbe and his family first to our house. And the Fidiker Rebbe with his family stayed in our home for 3 days. And when they needed to leave, so my father called all of us, all the kids, and he told us to run to the Rebbe that he should bench us. And when the Rebbe left, we all ran and we stood in front of the Rebbe. And my father introduced us and he asked that the Rebbe should bench us. So the Rebbe looked at each one of us and he benched us. He said, "The Eibishter should help you, that you should be healthy, and everything in your life should be good." Rabbi Israel Jacobson related that the chassid Rabbi Xayim Alטהויז was in my eyes a tziyur of an older chassid who is completely given over, devoted to the Rebbe's house and to the Rebbe's inyanim, to the Rebbe's family. And he would guide the young chassidim to be also given over, devoted. And he would guide the young chassidim to have a feeling of responsibility. For example, on Erev Rosh Hashanah Tafresh Pei Hey, which was exactly 100 years ago, I entered the house of the Fidiker Rebbe, says Israel Jacobson, and I saw that in the big living room, which that was the shul at that time, not even one bench was set up for davening. Rabbi Chaim, which was from the older Chassidim then, and he was from the big Mekaravim, he was sitting in the hallway. So I turned to him and said, "Chaim, today's Erev Rosh Hashanah and the shul is not set up yet." So Rabbi Chaim turned back to me and he answered me with the exact same words. He said, "Israel, today's Erev Rosh Hashanah, and nothing is yet ready for the shul. He just repeated back to me exactly what I asked him. And that made me mature 10 years in one moment. I suddenly realized that I myself should have that feeling of responsibility. I should demand for myself to take care of it. Another thing that his daughter, Batsheva, related. My father had 3 daughters, and he told us, you should always remember that you are Chassidish daughters. And if you will forget it one day, Chas v'shalom, there will be somebody who will remind you. And it's true, she ended up saying that, yes, there was somebody who reminded me that I'm a Chassidish daughter, the KGB. For 8 years I sat in jail. Rabbi Chaim was the one who was zeicha to be the Rebbe's shomer the day of his chasana, and there is a long description that Rabbi Chaim wrote of his impressions of the Rebbe on the day of his chasana. We're not going to read the whole thing here now, maybe in a different episode closer to Yudalat Kislev. Rabbi Chaim also wrote a long description, which you could find in Sefer Altehouses of the Frierdiker Rebbe, of the famous Purim cotton Farbrengen, where the Frierdiker Rebbe opened up his shirt and he screamed how Chassidim should go Mesiras Nefesh, not to send their sons to the shkolas, and how he turned to Eliyachaim himself directly, and he said, Eliyachaim, you should write to all the Chassidim that anybody who will send his kids to the Goyish schools will not leave for more than a year. Look up over there for all the details. His daughter Batsheva also related that my father escaped Leningrad to Riga because somebody anonymously, without identifying himself, called our home and warned him, said, Eliyahu Pinchasovich, run away from the country because the government is after you. And a week later, the same anonymous person called my father and he said, you're still here in the country? I'm warning you, for your good, run away. So first, my father ran away to my Bobby, my mother's mother. She lived in Nikolaev. And after a while, he took the family to Riga. 3 days after the Germans invaded Riga by the Second World War, they knocked on our door. Our home then was in an industrial area. We were all petrified from the knocking. So my father took my mother and he hid her in the bathtub, and that's how she was saved. They dragged my father out, and when they grabbed him, he wrapped himself with his talis and a white kittel. And as they were dragging him, he was davening. And it is told about his last moments that on Yud Kislev Tovshin Beis, the Germans took a bunch of Yidden and they put him into the shul. And then they put a lot of other Yidden around the shul to watch this tragic event. And the people saw how Rabbi the Masmid opened up the Aron Kodesh, he took out a Sefer Torah, and he announced, we're zeichet v'mekayem the mitzvah of Mesiras Nefesh HaKiddush Hashem. So we need to be b'simcha. And he put one hand on Rabbi Chaim's shoulder, and his other hand on the shoulder of Chatre Fagin. And together, they started to dance while singing the Hakafis Nigun. In the meantime, the Nazis in Machshemam burnt up the shul, and them, with the other Yidden there, gave their neshama back to the Eibishter, HaKiddush Hashem. We'll finish off with a nigun that's known as Rabbi Chaim's nigun. He didn't compose it. It's a nigun from Rabbi Aaron Charitonov. It's actually called their Tzaddik. Just like Rabbi Aaron Charitonov composed the nigun der Beinoni, he also composed the nigun der Tzaddik. But since Rabbi Chaim Altois used to sing this nigun a lot by the Frierdiker Rebbe, so Chassidim named it Rabbi Chaim's nigun.
Nam ein zwei drei vier ja nei anam ein zwei drei vier na 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 ja nei nam ana ja nei na na ya ra ra ram ra ra ram ein zwei drei vier anai adam ein zwei ararai anairam arananai no ayinanai taten ayinanai ayinanai taten ay 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 nam ay nay 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 ay na 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 ay na 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 hey ay na 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 tate ay na na ay na 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 tate ayinanayanam ayinayanay ayinananay ayinananay ayinanay 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 ay naray nayay narana ay nanay nanay na na nanay nanay na